Patrick Wood, and we're going to be joined by Usama Dakdog. The United Arab Emirates, I guess they have a sheik who's bought 49% stake in the Trump crypto company. That's a little alarming. Then we have a bill in Virginia that will criminalize programs like this. If we speak the truth about Islam, we can be charged with a hate crime, even with assault. Words now are assault when speaking truth without making any threats, just speaking the truth about Islam. That's what's going to happen if the Virginia bill becomes law. We'll have on Usama Dakdog about that. Now, I did not have my normal Daniel church service Bible study class last night. I gave everybody the night off because some people want to watch the Super Bowl, or in this case, the Olympics. I, Lord willing, will be back this coming Sunday night. We'll pick it up with Daniel chapter 2. We're in Daniel chapter 2 right now. I didn't watch 2 seconds of the Super Bowl. I could care less about the Super Bowl. So I don't even know who won, and I don't care. I did read an article, though, today about the Bad Bunny halftime show. I didn't see it. I don't want to see it, but I read an article about it. And apparently the whole thing was in Espanol, which I got a D in. I got a D in high school Spanish. I don't know why I was forced to take it. I didn't want to take it. But I got a D. And I don't care if that was the last language on the planet. I'm not learning Spanish, okay? I'm not learning Spanish. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. That's George H. there for you. But I understand they did that last night, and apparently the whole thing was a big Chinese Maoist humiliation ritual for the American people. That's what the article over at the Federalist wrote, and I agree with them after reading their article. Again, mind you, full disclosure, I did not see the Super Bowl. I did not watch 1 second of the Super Bowl, and I didn't see any of the halftime performance. I plan on not seeing it. I don't want to see it. I guess it'll probably pop up in social media news, but I didn't watch it. I spent the evening with my lovely wife in front of a roaring fireplace watching downhill skiing and the U.S. go to gold on the ice rink, figure skating. I love that downhill skiing because you know what I've decided is, why is it we like the Olympics? Well, I shouldn't say we. I don't know why you like the Olympics. I can tell you why I like the Olympics. It may be a little disturbing as to why I like to watch the Olympic sports, but I think I like to watch them because I'm waiting for someone to mess up royally. I'm waiting for someone to crash, particularly downhill skiing. Now, that's very dangerous. My wife said, how many people die doing this? There was a young man, sadly, that died in 2025 doing this. He died. It was a practice. Very dangerous. I think that's one reason why a lot of us like watching those kind of sports, because we realize the amount of skill, hard work, perseverance, but the risk, it's dangerous. And there is an element that likes to watch that. Now, yesterday we saw, I guess, in the practice run, Lindsey Vonn break her leg, had to be airlifted. And she was already skiing with a torn ACLU, I read. And the figure skating. Now, I don't think you can die figure skating, but I have seen people get hit in the head by their partner when they're doing these routines, and one gets, hit in the head with a skate and start bleeding. But you can certainly get dropped on the ice as they do all this whirling around and lifting people up in the air. I mean, that's dangerous. That's definitely dangerous on a small little blade of ice. You're doing all this. But I think the common theme is this is really hard to do. And it takes so many years of your life dedicated to this. And you're watching them at the moment, for many of them, is the crescendo of all of their life's work. to get a gold. Now, many of them go on and they'll compete in the national championships of this and that. But it's the understanding that what they're doing is almost, for the average human, impossible, but it's dangerous. And then you add in the luge, and I watched quite a bit of that over the weekend. I dare say, do you remember, my wife said that this is a dangerous sport. I said, yeah, there was a guy that actually flew out of the luge rink a few years ago and hit a metal pole. I saw the video of it last week. They had to stop, redesign the course, put up some more padding, and get going again. People die doing these sports in practice or on TV. So whether it's downhill skiing, luge, ice skating, lifting people up in the air, throwing them around, it's got an element of danger to it. Kind of like watching a guy on a high wire. And then I kept trying to find more of this. I'm like, I got to find more. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And not luge, but what is that thing where they slide the little device, the little stone over the ice? What is that called? Curling. Now, folks, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I don't know that that should be an Olympic sport, curling. But that went on for hours from every video angle you could find. I'm like, can we not? That's not life-threatening. I'm sorry. I don't think anyone's ever been seriously injured or unlived curling. But the other things they're doing, very, very difficult. So I deliberately avoided the Super Bowl last night. And like many of you, I grew up watching the Olympics. And I enjoyed watching it. I didn't see too many political messages, but a few here and there, a few comments. I won't even get into it. But for the most part, it was very apolitical, and I just enjoyed watching people do something that's taken them years to be able to do at that level. But I will go back to the article where we go to Patrick Wood and Usama about what we watched, what people watch, because I didn't watch it, at the Super Bowl. And this is a humiliation ritual, as the Federalist accurately points out. But what's ironic is that last night, while the Super Bowl that I didn't watch was going on, I was also reading. So I was reading while I was watching the Olympics, because I don't like to just do nothing. I like to work. I very rarely just sit and do nothing. I often am working. So I was reading the book by Peter Schweitzer, The Invisible Coup: How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. And it's so ironic that I read this over the weekend, because what took place at the Super Bowl is a part of a coordinated effort to make it where you are a racist and you're involved in hate if you love America and American culture and ideals and sovereignty and borders and language and culture that's uniquely American. I was told that one of the themes was something about love over hate. I don't even know what the slogan was, but something about love over hate. That I guess now, again, the message is sent that if you're a proud American who wants your own culture, your own language, your own history, your own borders, your own currency, your own laws, you're hateful. And this is all a multifaceted psychological operation that's occurring. There was a guy by the name of Jorge Jimenez. I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. I got a D in Spanish, so what do I know? I got Jorge part right, though. A prominent Mexican academic who regularly attends the United Nations conference. And he stated in 2024, quote, mass migration is causing the demographic reconquest in the areas that the Americans had forcibly taken from Mexico, end quote. So I guess a lot of people have forgotten about the American-Mexican War. A lot of Americans don't know much about it, don't think about it, don't even consider it. But apparently that's not the case in Mexico. Apparently in Mexico, they're still fighting the American-Mexican War that gave us a lot of the land we got in the Southwest. And this whole thing with emphasis on Puerto Rico and really coming against America and not even doing this in your own English language. The American flag, one of just many flags, I'm told, were in the presentation on the field. Alberto Gomez, the founding director of the Mexican news agency, opined in a 2023 article that migrants are, quote, quietly carrying out a reconquest of the territories the U.S. took from us in 1848, end quote. Peter Schweitzer writes that the notion of reconquering the American Southwest has been a long-held ambition in Mexico. And they are confident that mass migration is working. I did see last night on social media where one of these football players, and these are not the brightest people on the planet, in my opinion, football players. They're not real bright. You ever heard them interviewed? They're not real bright people. There's some of them that go on to be pretty smart business people and whatnot. But most of them, they're not real bright. And I think you get your head hit over and over, you probably tend to not be a real bright guy. And that's, of course, NFL stands for not for long, because they prove they're not real bright because most of them are broke within 3 or 4 years of retiring. But one of these very not bright guys, in my opinion, walked in last night apparently to the arena in a jumpsuit with handcuffs and leg chains on. And I guess that was my wife's like, what is that about? I said, I don't know. I guess it's a statement about ICE, immigration. Well, this is all propaganda to get Americans prepared for all of these illegal immigrants to become citizens. Schweitzer writes, few in Mexico's upper echelon believe that the territory will officially revert to Mexico or that the maps will be redrawn. But reconquest does not necessitate a change in governance or ownership. In the minds of many Mexican leaders, the cultural and political weapon presented by mass migration into the United States is enough to fundamentally transform it. He goes on a couple pages later to write, in 2002, according to the polls, a majority of Mexicans, 58%, believe that the territory of the United States Southwest rightfully belongs to Mexico. Another 57% also believe that, quote, Mexicans should have the right to enter the U.S. without permission, end quote. Quote, in the United States, almost no one remembers the war that America fought against Mexico more than 150 years ago, end quote. So wrote Tim Weiner in the New York Times. Quote, in Mexico, almost no one has forgotten, end quote. Did you know that the Mexican government is shipping 1 million textbooks a year into our schools in America? Don't go away. We'll be right back. The dollar is dying. It's going down, and inflation is soaring. Are you prepared to lose through inflation your life saving, your purchasing power? I don't think you have to. I would urge you to go right now to worldviewgold.com. Worldviewgold.com. Get the free packet of information available, because you know what? I've been working with this company for about 17 years. And I trust them. Now, look, I don't give financial advice. I give financial opinion. And my opinion is you should do your own homework and your own due diligence. And I think that starts with getting the free, no obligation packet of information on how to put gold into your IRA, how to acquire physical gold or silver, or what is known as numismatic, 1933 and older. Education is crucial. And it starts with this free packet at worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com, or 1-877-864-1072, 1-877-864-1072, worldviewgold.com. All right, breaking news. Apparently, Lindsey Vonn broke her ACLU. That's what I just found out I said. Did I really say that? She broke her ACLU. Well, you see, guys, I have a lot of stuff in my head here, and I talked about the ACLU and Roger Baldwin, the founder, a communist, for a lot of years. So I got to going on a rant, and that's not uncommon. Hopefully that thing doesn't persist into older age. Her ACL. All right. How many of you caught I said ACLU? Because I sure didn't. It's always a little unnerving when the guys in the control room laugh, and I can hear them in there laughing. I'm being serious as a heart attack, and they're in there laughing, and I'm always thinking, did I just say something that I didn't know I said? And apparently, that's the case. See, it's not easy doing what I do. I know my wife often says, you make it look easy. I said, well, that's the problem. I do a lot of things that are very, very hard, but apparently I make it look so easy that people don't appreciate the level of complexity of what I'm carrying out, including being mocked in the control room. Well, just a couple more minutes here on this. This book by Peter Schweitzer. Fascinating. In a 2017 left-wing icon in Mexico, his name is Cardenas. I'm sure I'm not saying it right. He announced his plans to sue the United States in international court to declare the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe null and void, and to reclaim portions of the United States from Mexico. He admits that he doesn't necessarily expect to win in court, but that is not really the point. He believes that the lawsuit could provide leverage to accomplish his true goal, some type of amnesty for illegals already in the United States, which is the mechanism by which the reconquest could fully succeed. So, folks, all of this is really just to lay the foundation for a North American Union in one shape or form. And the Super Bowl last night was part of that propaganda. And I have more I can go on related to this book, and I will, but it's a very good book. I highly recommend it, The Invisible Coup by Peter Schweitzer. But everything is pretty much part of a psychological operation, just so you know. And is it just me? And I'm not trying to be unkind, but is it just me, or are you sick of hearing about Nancy Guthrie? I am so sick of hearing about Nancy Guthrie. 9 days now. And what if this whole thing turns out to have been something very close to home? You know what I mean? Hint, hint. And yet we, the country, has spent 9 days talking about this. I pray they find her. I pray they find her alive. But folks, there are a lot of children that are missing. There are a lot of people who have Alzheimer's and dementia that have walked off and they can't find them. But we spent 9 days talking about this lady. And if you don't think this isn't a gigantic part of a gigantic distraction from what's really going on in this country, I'm starting to also believe that the Epstein files are also part of a gigantic psychological operation. Not that these horrific things did not occur. But is this process of what's spilling out with the Epstein files, if you're following it, is it causing you to have more respect for your government? Is it causing you to have more respect for the Department of Justice, the rule of law? Is it causing you to believe more and more that everyone is equal under the law, that Lady Justice, I should say, is blindfolded and does not consider who you are or how much you're worth or what your status is, but everyone's equal under the law? Is it causing you to believe in that more? No, it's not. This is part of the systematic destruction of our institutions. And to cause us to have disrespect for all of these people, Republican, Democrat, whatever. Now, and I don't know if this is the enemies of Trump doing this inside his own DOJ, because I don't think that DOJ is loaded up with Trump fans. He seems to have a real gift. President Trump apparently has a real gift of picking all the wrong people. And are they doing this because they're trying to sabotage him? It sure looks that way. Either way, this is definitely a part of the psychological operation. It's just one of many pieces right now. Joining me now is Patrick Wood. Speaking of Alzheimer's and dementia patients walking off and not being able to find them, that really kind of leads into a commercial that apparently ran during the Super Bowl last night. And I'm just now kind of adding this together. That commercial was about losing your dog, which as a dog lover, I could certainly understand that and want my dog back. But it was like everybody should get a doorbell camera, and we'll have, the ability to find your missing dog with a network of cameras around the neighborhood. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Why would they do dogs? Why would they not do, hey, we have missing seniors that have Alzheimer's and dementia. We can use the Ring doorbell cameras to find them, right? But no, we had to go to the dogs, which I guess puppies, everybody for the most part loves puppies. But this Ring doorbell camera was pretty creepy commercial. And the guys in the control room pointed it out to me, and I thought I would discuss it with you real quick, Patrick. Have you seen the commercial, Patrick?
I just saw it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Should we play it for the audience?
Absolutely.
Because this fits into what is being built, which is a network to spy on all of us, every aspect of our life. All right, roll it, guys.
This is Milo. Pets are family. But every year, 10 million go missing. And the way we look for them hasn't changed in years. Until now. One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs. Since launch, more than a dog a day has been reunited with their family. Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party. Available to everyone for free right now. Join the neighborhood at ring.com.
All right, so there you go. Find the puppy. Everybody get a Ring doorbell and help find Fido. Well, I guess we've put that up on our X account. Ring camera, we can help you find your dog. We put it on our Twitter feed. What do you make of this, Patrick?
It figures. I've been carping on these Ring doorbells for a long time, even since they came out. But they've added new functionality along the way. Every few months, actually, something's coming up. And at this point, these cameras are so sophisticated. They don't have necessarily telephoto lens, but they're very high resolution. So you can see stuff on the sidewalk and the street in front of your house. Also, the microphone in these cameras are so sensitive that they can actually monitor conversations that people have when they walk in front of your house as well. This is very disturbing because the opt-in is to let the police, control your camera, and there's some boxes you can check, I'm sure, that give them the opportunity to do that. But this is what this is all talking about. If you give your camera over to the police to control, monitoring for stuff, whether it's seniors, children, pets, doesn't matter, they'll use that as a network, end-to-end network, because there's so many. I see them all over my community today. You probably do as well. Everybody seems to have a Ring doorbell or something very like it. So this is the introduction to the public, I think, on exactly what these things can do. And it really is disturbing.
Indeed, it is, and of course, it adds to the whole layer of technocracy. What do you make of my opening monologue today about the Super Bowl, the halftime program that I did not see? I'm going to keep repeating that. I did not see it. I just read about it. But it seemed to be a humiliation ritual, all in another language, highlighting Puerto Rico, the U.S. flag among many flags. And there's more you could say about it than just that. And it all seems to fit with this idea of a North American Union, technate, convincing Americans that you're a hater and racist if we don't give up our land or our boundaries, our borders. I mean, you basically go to the extreme to negotiate some kind of compromise, the Hegelian dialectic, right? And that's what's going on. Exactly. To condition Americans that if we don't let all these citizens from Mexico stay here, that we're racist, that we took their land, they're here, they are predominantly in the Southwest. That's their land anyway. We stole it from them through our wars with them. That's what we're told. So the best thing to do is go ahead and agree with the courts, when they can get it there, that they have the right to stay and become citizens and we just have a North American Union. You know, they're asking for the extreme. We want our land back. Okay, but we're willing to let you keep the land, but here's what we want, citizenship. So they're asking for the whole enchilada just to take a portion.
Exactly. This smacks of the North American Union for sure. That's the first thing that came into my mind. He didn't talk about Canada, however. Canada doesn't speak Spanish, but nevertheless, you know, this is a dream that's been around for at least 25 years at this point. Started basically with George W. So, you know, just business as usual, I think. This is a policy, by the way, all of this immigration nonsense. This was a policy that was set in motion in Europe at the very first in the first instance by Peter Sutherland. He was a special envoy to the United Nations for immigration. He was a guy that went all around Europe and talked to all the current countries in Europe to taking a quota of people from the South. That was their South. And what he said was, well, the future of the world is multiculturalism. That's exactly what he said. And he hammered it all the time. So Peter Sutherland, turns out he was the executive director in Europe of the Trilateral Commission for years. He just died a few years ago. But he was for years a member of the Trilateral Commission, very important member as well. This was Trilateral Commission policy to meld all the societies together to erase the borders. They said this explicitly on so many occasions. We should not forget where this policy came from. They didn't do it exactly the same way in America, but it's the same policy. They had we had enough traders in our country that would open our borders up. But the same thing, the same policy is at hand right here in America.
Oh, all right, let's go to the UAE when we come back. You have an article at technocracy.news, and you say UAE spy chic. I want to know why you have spy chic. He bought 49% of the stake in Trump crypto company, World Liberty Financial. Let's talk about that. Get an update from Usama about legislation in Virginia that could make it illegal to say anything negative about Islam. Could be actually classified as assault. Oh my. All right. We'll be right back. World YouTube, worldviewradio.com. Be right back.
Consumers often ask, what should I expect when I take the Bella Grace Elixir? And the answer's varied. It really depends on what your health and wellness needs are. I would consider this as your foundational core product for a whole range of health and wellness issues. Let me give you a few examples. If you're a little bit older and you have some joint health issues, some problems with mobility and discomfort, the elixir is going to be your best friend. If you have some skin health issues, wrinkles, hydration, aging, all of those elements are going to be benefited from the elixir, including age spots. Now, if you're in a younger demographic, maybe visual health is where you need some assistance. Eye fatigue, dry eyes, all of those are going to be benefited by the elixir. It's a core product because it benefits so many.
worldviewradio.com or worldviewtube.com. I got a brand new article for you, my friends. Brand new article I worked on over the weekend. I made reference to this last week, but I wanted to write it into a full article. And I hope you guys will all go grab it and send it to every one of your friends. Email, tweet, text, Facebook, Getter, True Social, whatever you do. because this is 36 years of work in this one article. One of my attorney friends out of California texted me last night after reading it and said, this pretty much summarizes your 30 some odd years of work in one article. I said, yes, ma'am. 27 steps by enemies, foreign and domestic, to collapse America from within. 27 steps by foreign enemies, 27 steps by enemies, foreign and domestic, to collapse America from within. Load it up with history, facts. I hope you will literally go right now to Worldview Tube, or maybe it'd be easier, Logan, to have them go to Worldview Times, because I think it's right there on the homepage. Worldview, yep, there it is. Worldviewtimes.com. Worldviewtimes.com. And right away, right now, at 1:32 p.m. Central, 2:32 Eastern Standard, you go to worldviewtimes.com. It's the main article right there. Can't miss it. Click on it, grab the URL, cut and paste it to Twitter, Getter, Facebook, Truth Social, whatever you do. Spread this around. Rob Lindstedt texted me last night, said, what can we do to get this to more people? I said, yeah. We got a huge response last night from our broadcast friends that I sent this to personally, the different people I work with and interview, Patrick being one of them. And many of them came back. We got to get this to more people so we can explain to people how they're being deceived, how their minds and hearts are being stolen. And isn't that what real spiritual warfare is, folks? Not railing at demons, shouting at Satan. It's making sure we bring all things into obedience to Christ. It is revealing to people the lies that is after their hearts and minds. Don't be taken captive by the things that are according to men, not according to Christ. That's real spiritual warfare. And many of your family and friends, they're not putting the pieces together. That's what Francis Schaeffer used to say. The average person sees the world in bits and pieces, not as a big picture. I'm going to give you 27 steps that are being used by enemies, foreign and domestic, to collapse America from within. And many of your family and friends are going to go, oh, that's why they're in the streets protesting. Oh, that's why they're teaching us to hate America. Oh, that's why they want to undermine parental authority. Oh, that's why they are making sure we all find problems with the police and the military. And there are problems with the police and military. That's the point I'm making in the article. They deliberately are getting rid of the good guys, hiring people that shouldn't be allowed to be dog walkers and putting them as cops. So they will do dumb things on body cameras that can then be used to show you, oh, look at this guy. And you do. I see a lot of stuff on social media where cops are doing the dumbest things, unconstitutional, horrific, stupid. That's because they're hiring fools, many of these departments. Why? Because they forced out the good guys. They forced out the trained. They spent their money on building parks and football stadiums for high schools that could compete with the NFL instead of law and protection, the first priority of government. And what they do, they hired the lowest common denominator, largely on purpose, so they can do bad things, dumb things, catch it on body camera, and then use it to reinforce the narrative. All of this is in this document. Worldviewtimes.com. Patrick, before we add Usama into this conversation, what did you make of the article? I sent it to you last night.
And, you know, it underscores the whole process from end to end that this has been a long-term killing of a country. And it's amazing to me that we're still standing in one sense. Mm-hmm. They haven't taken us out. They've tried to get us with the death by 1,000 cuts, but we're still alive. And that's amazing to me. America is so resilient. May not be for long, but nevertheless, we're still around. And all of these attacks on us, they're unmistakable on a point-by-point basis. So that's a great article. I think it should be spread around.
Yeah, indeed. By the way, someone's asking about the 1848. It's 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe. That's what I was referring to. If someone wants to go look that up, the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe. All right, let's go to this article here. UAE spy sheik bought 49% of stake in Trump crypto company. Why is your headline call him a spy sheik?
That's what he is. That's what he is. He's the head of security, like he's the national security advisor, essentially, for the UAE. So that's what they call him. That's their nickname for him, right? So that's in the headline.
Okay, so so Trump has a crypto company, is that what I'm told?
Exactly right. It's called World Liberty Financial. It's a big deal. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar company at this point.
And who's running it for him?
His family. Trump doesn't run it himself, but his family does it.
And so his sons are got business relationships with Qatar.
Yes.
With resort over there, whatever. And then we got business relationships with the UAE, Saudi Arabia. Is all of this compromising the foreign policy of the Trump administration? Is that the point of the article?
You know, number one, this wasn't just, here's a few $1,000,000 to invest in your company. Trump became almost a full partner with these people. A 49% stake in a company, that means you're basically even Steven. Now, somebody has 51%, somebody else 49%. There's no other investors in this company, just Trump's family and the UAE. So this means, okay, he's totally unequally yoked with these people who have no sense of what human rights is all about. In fact, the UAE and most of the Islamic world, they're all dictatorships. They have no freedom at all. Their people can't criticize the government. There's no free speech. There's no concept of liberty or freedom in those countries. Absolutely none. And they employ slave labor, for instance. They get people coming in from Malaysia and the Philippines, whatever. They come in, they treat them like dirt, and they burn them out and they go home. But this is the kind of people that Trump has brought into the United States at the highest level. And why did they have to keep it secret in the first place? This just came out by an investigation, apparently, of the Wall Street Journal. This was hidden from the American people, and this was in place just before the inauguration, by the way. And what they're saying at this point, the sheik, he wanted to have all of the latest NVIDIA chips to run spy centers like AI data center. And so this kind of punched his ticket to make this investment with Trump. And lo and behold, okay, and they got the shipments they wanted after a few months went by. But on the other foot, you have what they got out of it. In other words, there was a quid pro quo for chips. But now look at it the other way around. This sheik now, a Muslim, he's no interest in human rights at all. This guy now has a major foothold, one more, at the highest level of government and society in America. How do you think this is going to go down in history when we were bought out by Islamic money, who then turns around and exerts influence on all the operations they invest in? They will turn this into an Islamic republic at some point. There's nothing else to say. This is stunning to me that President Trump and his family can't see don't deal with these people. You dance with the devil, you're gonna get your clothes burned.
Well, and
Period.
the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, I guess defended it according to the article on ABC's This Week. I quote, "I love it when these papers talk about something being unprecedented or never happening before, as if the Biden family, the Biden administration didn't do exactly the same thing and they were just in office," end quote. Wait a minute. So the standard now is the Biden family? The Deputy Attorney General now is telling us that the standard is the Biden family.
I know. You know, all the business with Biden and the Ukraine, for instance, the corruption that we saw there, that was a piker deal compared to this.
Yeah.
This is so
Yep.
over the top.
Yep.
And when you consider all of the money, the other Islamic money that's been brought in by pledges to invest in the next 10 years, it's stunning. It's over $3.2 trillion that Trump has solicited from the Mideast to invest into our infrastructure, especially with AI data centers.
Well, let's bring
this.
This is, it's a national security problem. Hold right there. Let's bring in Usama Dakdog, expert on Islam. Usama, before we get into the Virginia bill, will you comment on what we've been talking about? Because obviously we're in your wheelhouse right now. Usama?
Sure. I believe the problem, Brother Brennan, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but the problem is we are not fighting Islam the right way. We're fighting Islam with the political correctness. So we're saying we are not going to do work with the radical extremists. We're going to get rid of the radical extremists, when in reality, there is not a Muslim in the world who does not believe in the Quran. The Quran, the word of Allah, told them to do what they're doing. So if Mr. Trump or anybody else, Republican or Democrat, are going to dance with the devil, as my dear brother just said, it's going to bite us so badly. The Bible does not tell us there is a good Muslim and a bad Muslim. They are both the same. There are some who pretend to be our friend, but they are not our friend. I mean, Qatar? I mean, what else do you want to go deeper than Qatar? There's nobody else worse than Qatar. So, yes, you're not going to face the reality to say that we have a problem. It's called Islam, and those who believe in Allah, the God of Islam, the devil, and Muhammad, the self-proclaimed prophet of Islam, the wicked, ungodly, pedophile, child molester, an adulterer, whatever name you want to give for Muhammad. If you're not going to face the reality without the political correctness, then America will be taken by the Muslims.
Well, you know what? You just made a great point. No wonder so many in our elite love Islam. No wonder so many of the elite love Islam, because they can continue molesting children. Even when Sharia takes over, they'll still be allowed to molest children. In fact, under our form of government, you're not supposed to be doing that. But under Islam, they can have child molestation legalized. Maybe that's why they're giving us over to the Muslims, so that they can have legalized things like persecuting Christians, Jews, and they can be involved in child molestation. Interesting. Maybe many of the people in government have more of an affinity for Islam because it fits their worldview, including the worship of Satan, because Allah is Satan. Wait a minute. Sure. Wow. Don't go away.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage, and now, real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You're watching Worldview Tube, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, on a lighter note, I'm watching some of this snowboarding where they're flipping and carrying on in the air, and the announcers are telling me, oh, that was a 1620, and that was this, and that was that. All these words they have for the tricks they're doing. I'm like, you need a dictionary to watch and follow to look up what the trick they just did. Well, I mean, they tell you that you just saw it, so I guess it's not too hard. But I'm now hearing that a 21-year-old Japanese snowboarder has been recorded as the first woman to successfully perform a backside triple cork 1620. Did she do this in the Olympics, or was that a practice run? That's what I'm trying to find out. It was not in the Olympics. Oh, she did this. She did it during the X Games. Well, this is the kind of thing you're watching them do. And that snowboarding, folks, is, again, if you haven't been watching that, that's like dangerous. Whew. All right, joining me now. You know what's going to be dangerous? This is going to become a dangerous thing. I am finally going to get up there with the Olympians. I'm going to be on the caliber of the Olympians, because live radio, TV, like walking on a tightrope, you have to be careful what you say at all times or you'll fall and you could go to jail. So pretty soon, what I do here, boys, is going to be the equivalent of an Olympian sport because of the danger of being a truth teller. Usama, I'm not joking. Virginia is working on legislation that could have me charged with physical assault if I speak the truth about Islam, if this becomes a law, right?
To a Muslim, or even if you're talking to somebody else. So if you're speaking to some friends or your audience and you say, here's some truth about Allah or Muhammad or what the Quran teaches, this is the same bill, by the way, they are right now are voting on in United Kingdom. There's the same bills they're going to be passing in Canada. And if it succeed in Virginia, it will go to every other state in America, because you know how this snowball rolling and get bigger and bigger and bigger, which means in the near future, when you have me on your show and I'll open that book and I read what Allah said about Muhammad, the womanizer, and that is the greatest insult you can do. And as written in Quran chapter 33 verse 50, and it is lawful for you, Muhammad, to have sex with any believing woman who offer herself to you. This is a privilege for you, Muhammad. If I quoted Quran chapter 33, verse 50, which teach that Muhammad was a womanizer. As a matter of fact, if I go in depth and I quote for the American people what the scholars of Islam teach about the right for a man to be involved sexually with his dead wife after she died for 7 hours. You can be involved sexually with your dead wife for 7 hours after she died. Imagine that with me. If I try to speak the truth about Islam sexuality, Muhammad and Muslim believers to be involved with a little child wife, Quran chapter 65 verse 4 and verse 1, and so on with the rest of the verses of the Quran. Now I'm insulting Muhammad. Now I'm calling Muhammad a womanizer, or I'm calling Muhammad a pedophile, or I call the Muslim people the same names. Therefore, you will lose your station. Most likely you will join me someplace in some prison somewhere if we have a place for us.
Here we go. The bill, 14 Democrats, co-sponsors, no Republicans. Quote, assault and battery. Definition of Islamophobia penalty defines Islamophobia. This is right from the bill, folks, in Virginia. As it relates to the crime of assault and battery as malicious prejudice and hatred directed toward Islam or Muslims. The definition applies regardless of whether the victim is actually a practitioner of Islam, provided that the perpetrator targeted such victim based on a perceived adherence to such faith. The bill also clarifies that religious conviction includes Islam. The bill directs the Department of State Police, in consultation with the Office of Attorney General and the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, to include the bill's definition of Islamophobia in its hate crime reporting repository, end quote. So, pretty soon, if this passes and we air in Virginia, we could be charged in Virginia with assault and battery for speaking truth about Islam. What are they going to do then? Put out an arrest warrant and then drag you to Virginia?
I believe it's time for the American people to speak out loud against this propaganda of Islamophobia. Islamophobia, as we have seen it so far, even in the case of Ilhan Omar, the last few weeks, every time speak about her, not Islam, not Allah, not Muhammad, not her people group, not nothing except her. Here, you came to this country with nothing. In the last 2 years, you moved from $150,000 payment on a house you cannot afford to now you have between 30 to 40. Some people actually said $60 million. Where you come up with this money? You know how she defend herself? Oh, it is Islamophobia. And if she can succeed to use the word Islamophobia, nobody will touch her, not with a 10-foot rod, with a 10,000-foot rod. She will continue to succeed, to do whatever she wants. She will be the multi-billionaire, taking the money from the American people to her people in Somalia, and so on, with whatever corruption. So the best way to end the trial, or the thought or to trial any Muslim of committing any crime in America, is the word Islamophobia, or the end to end anyone who critique Islam, who read the Quran for the American people, who tell the Muslim people the truth about Muhammad and Islam. It is used as the word Islamophobia, and there will be plenty of us in some prison somewhere.
Well, they just
until we all shut down.
They just bought a bunch of facilities, Patrick. We got 60 seconds. They just bought a bunch of facilities around the country, and they're turning them into dormitories and whatnot. So at the end of the day, I think this might be being built for MAGA people and Christians and patriots and constitutionalists.
It could be. You know, we have, maybe we should turn to the Ring doorbell network to spy on all these people who are talking about Islam on the sidewalks now, and just drag them in and, take them all.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention with AI and databases, anything they're posting up on social media. And yet our government is in business relationships with these people, as well as personally. And we wonder why our liberties are going right down the drain. Patrick,
that's exactly right. This business of trillions of dollars being inducted into America from these Islamic countries, there's quid pro quo in both directions for sure, and it won't end well for us.
No, it won't. Hold right there, gentlemen. Technocracy.news, technocracy.news for Patrick Wood. Usama is at thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org. By the way, I love your U handkerchief in your pocket there.
I made it up by my head, brother. I mean,
well
I'm waiting
done
on a friend of mine to send me some, but oh well.
Yeah, I know. I need to get you some printed. All right. thestraightway.org. All right, hold right there, gentlemen. I hope you'll stay tuned, folks, for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider, coming up right now on the VCY American Network on over 100 outlets nationwide, America's original Christian talk program since the 1970s, also at vcy.org. Thanks for listening. Take care. And we're back with Usama Dakdock and Usama Dakdock and Patrick Wood. All right, gentlemen, what else do you see coming down the pike? Well, in fact, let me just tell you right now, Virginia is moving forward to have just one Republican congressional seat and 10 Democrats. 47% of Virginia voted for Trump, but they will now get just 9% of the seats. The courts, of course, must strike this down, and Florida must redraw. I guess this is Virginia Dems move forward with a redistricting plan that will give Democrats in Virginia 10 seats in the House of Representatives. And of course, we know where they want to go. Look at what they're doing at the state level with their attack on the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the Second Amendment. So we kind of know where this is all going. This is why, Usama, I really wish President Trump would stop concentrating on his crypto companies or his family and what all they're doing, and just concentrate on saving the republic. Look, he's 79 years old. He has more money than he can spend. His children should go out and make their own money. Save the republic, Mr. President, because after you're long gone, we are going to be turned over to the Marxist and the Islamist, and they are going to literally imprison us. They're drafting the legislation. The government is buying facilities that could be easily turned from the immigrants to the Americans. We know the Weather Underground. They openly stated, according to one of the guys that infiltrated them, Larry Grothwald, who I personally interviewed, that they were going to arrest 25 million. They're going to have to arrest a lot of Americans and retrain them, and then eliminate 25 million of them that wouldn't go along with the retraining. Everything is setting up for conquering us. And President Trump apparently is going to fly off into the sunset as a multi-billionaire and leave us worse than when he came to office, because he apparently, again, I hate to say it, has such poor discernment, right?
Yeah.
Such poor discernment with the counselors he places around him and puts in his administration. You know, they're going to have a prayer rally coming up here in May. And I appreciate that the president wants to highlight religion and prayer, but his comments at the prayer rally the other day were kind of weird, right? If you heard some of them, kind of making fun of the speaker for wanting to interrupt lunch to pray and different things he was saying. It was like, wait, do you not read the room, who you're talking to? And now he wants to have a prayer rally. And can you imagine the characters that are going to be at this prayer rally? Paula White and the likes and the NAR crowd? I mean, this is turning into a mess, Usama.
Well, first of all, Brother Brandon, don't forget the scripture is very clear. The love of money is the roots of all evils. When I say all evils, I'm talking about all evils. So obviously, he does not have the heart for this country. America can be stronger economically beyond our imagination, but we have expression in Egypt which says, what the ants gather all year long, a camel would take in one what do we call this? One swoop. So it's not very hard for us to make our country great economically, but if God is not going to bless this country, all what we see of riches can be wiped out in no time. And I believe this is how it's going to happen in the end of time, as we turn our back against Israel with the new president who's going to be a liberal Democrat anyway, or Rhino. I do not know who's going to come next. And that is when God will use his right hand to discipline this country, and we will lose all our strengths. Our strength is in our almighty dollar, or our strength in our almighty God? You cannot do this political correctness by doing business with the Muslims who hate our guts, at the same time pretend to the American people or act to the American people as if you are saving America from the radicals, because those whom you're doing business with are no different than those whom you are trying to get rid of this country. They're the same. They believe in the same Allah, they believe in the same Quran, they believe in the same Muhammad, they believe in jihad. They are 100% Muslim, but the one you're doing business with are performing jihad with their money, which is very important, as much as others in the future will be performing jihad with their right hand, with their body. And that is the reality. There's so much, Brother Brandon, about what's happening. Talk about prayer. Yes, the Muslim prayed last Friday in front of Trump Tower in the street, and he could not do anything about it. And don't forget, last prayer day he have a Muslim imam praying Quran chapter 1 inside the Rose Garden for the American people, which teach that Allah's wrath is against the Jews and all Christians are lost. Yep. And he said amen, the imam, and all those who surround him who are so ignorant of Quran chapter 1 said amen. You cannot have a prayer and have a Muslim or anybody else.
The music's going to play. Got to get this in. Listen real quick, guys. Here we go. Here's Trump. Oh, wait a minute. I got to plug it in. Here we go.
Jeffers. I don't know if he's here. Is he here, Robert? Is he here? Robert Jeffers was on television in 2016 when I just sort of announced I was running. And he said, I know every candidate very well. There were 18 candidates, me and 17 others. He said, I know every candidate very well. And I know Trump a little bit, but he may not be as good with the Bible as some of them. He may not have read the Bible as much as some of them. In fact, he may not have ever read the Bible, but he will be a much messenger for us, and he will get things done that no other man has the ability to get done. And I endorse him fully. And I said, you know, that guy, I didn't want to admit anything. But that was very interesting, and I think we've got more done, Paula, than anybody.
Wow. Apparently he hasn't read the Bible. Oh, boy, folks. Pray for President Trump. Closing comment, Patrick, we got to go. You're muted. All right, they told me we have to wrap.
I can't say anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
You bet.
You're watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of